growing up in Singapore and, during my years in school and stuff like that, there always seems, even till now, there seems to be this kind of dilemma or a bit of a tiny little argument spat as to what makes Singapore's national dish. Is it the Hainanese chicken rice or the Singapore chili crab? So, everyone loves crab, be it at, from Red House or Palm Beach or Jumbo or even Melbourne. Sometimes I think our humble little zita store down, at the HDB block or in a hawker centre actually does really good pepper crab. And when I was last in Singapore a couple of years ago, I was taken to a zita store at Alexander, which is near IKEA, I think. And they had really good white pepper crabs. So I've never really had that at all. It's really hard to get chili crabs or even authentic Singapore chili crabs here in Australia. There's a lot of bastardized versions of, chili crab, but it's actually fried with sweet chili. Even bastardized Singapore meals like Singapore noodles. So don't get me started on Singapore noodles. I guess, we'll leave that for another time. So on the topic of crabs, not only is it making me very, very, very hungry, but it also calls to mind a certain deity that is worshipped in Minnan, Fujian, as well as in Taiwan. So this particular deity is called Tian Du Yuan Shuai. Tian Du Yuan Shuai translates to the paddy fields, marshal of the paddy fields. Tian is the paddy fields and Yuan Shuai is marshal. So, the Tian Du Yuan Shuai, his divine role is a protector of Chinese regional opera. Many members of the Chinese opera troops and puppet troops revere and worship him right up to this day. So Tian Du Yuan Shuai, he's living through a time from 716 to 755 AD from Tianzhuang village of Qingyuan County, which is now Putian Prefecture of Fujian province. During the time where he lived, he was a very famous court musician. And he played as a court musician for the Emperor Xuanzong of the Tang Dynasty. So as we delve into, a little bit deeper on why this particular person, Tian Du Yuan Shuai, is affiliated with crabs, or why is he named Tian Du Yuan Shuai, marshal of paddy fields. So this person, when he was very young, he was born with darkened skin around his mouth. His family thought it was, bad luck and ominous. So they abandoned him on the side of a path near paddy fields. So passing by was a puppet troupe, and they actually heard this baby crying as they traveled by the paddy fields, and this little baby was actually, kicking and crying, and upon closer inspection, the members of the puppet troupe, or the Chinese puppet theater troupe, noticed that there were Chinese mitten crabs. So they're quite hairy and not really big. They're quite small. I'm not sure whether can they be eaten or not. So don't get your chili crab ideas onto the Chinese mitten crabs. So these Chinese mitten crabs, they were feeding him foam produced by their saliva into his mouth to keep him alive. So they came to his aid, saving his life by feeding him these foam bubbles from their mouths. So I'm not sure whether have you seen a crab, being killed. Probably not in the humane way. So the humane way is you put it to sleep in freezer and ice, and then you can, cut them up and stuff like that. But I saw crabs being killed in Singapore wet markets when I was growing up, in the 80s. And the poor crabs were still alive, and, they were so stressed and they're foaming at the mouth. So it's probably this is what the bubbles that they were feeding to the baby to keep him alive. So these bubbles that were foaming at their mouths, I don't think it's a stressful situation or anything like that, but they were, these Chinese mitten crabs came to his aid, kept him alive. And for this reason, as a deity, Tian Du Yuan Shuai, he's depicted with a gold crab on his forehead, or even crab legs around his mouth and face. So that's really, really interesting. So this baby was found by the puppet troupe. He wore a hat with the family's name sewn on his hat. It's a Chinese character. It's called Lei, or thunder, sorry. And so it's got a word Lei on his head. So the puppet troupe then gave him a name called Lei Haiqing, and he was taken away and raised by the puppet troupe. Lei Haiqing grew up in the troupe day by day. By the age of 18, he can play different musical instruments, different roles in the puppets, and he was called to court as a musician by the Emperor Tang Xuanzong. So in the chaos of the Anlushan rebellion during that time, the rebels actually attacked Chang'an, which is modern-day Xi'an. And Lei Haiqing was captured, and the general Ang Lushan actually demanded for him to perform. Lei Haiqing actually then denied. He refused to perform for Ang Lushan general, and then he was killed. So he lost his life in the process at a very young age. In Japan, Tian Du Yuan Shuai is also known as Busaganashi. So Busaganashi, it's an important warrior god that it's highly venerated by the Goju-Ryu Karate practitioners in Okinawa and some parts in other countries in the world, but it's mainly venerated and revered in Okinawa, Japan, and he's known as Busaganashi. There are many Chinese temples in Taiwan, Southeast Asia, as well as China, with these statues of Tian Du Yuan Shuai sporting the crab on his forehead or the legs around his mouth and face, because the majority of the Chinese people are Minnan, so they are Fujian or Hokkien. So he is the patron saint of these Minnan or Fujian Hokkien people, especially the Hokkien opera troops, be it like wayang, painted faces and Hokkien troops, Hokkien puppet troops. And there are also spirit medium Dangi worship in the form of gyuse, so saving one devotee at a time. So Tian Du Yuan Shuai does provide these services to his very faithful devotees as well. So sometimes when you have a look or ponder or chance upon a effigy statue of Tian Du Yuan Shuai, this particular deity, the chicken and the dog are his very close friends. So his statue actually depicts, a chicken figurine as well as a dog at his feet, because Tian Du Yuan Shuai during his childhood days in the village, he actually has a little puppy, a dog, and a little chicken as companion, his friends, because I said earlier on in the video, he was actually abandoned just because of how he looks like by his family on the side of a paddy field. Rescued or came to his aid with Chinese mitten crabs, and then the puppet troupe passing by, took him in and brought him up to 18 years of age or so. And when he reached, the deity status, because he gave his life and not, conforming and giving in to Anlushan, the general of the Anlushan rebellion. So, his chicken and dog actually followed him into deification. So you always would see, figurines with the particular, Tian Du Yuan Shuai statue will always be the cat. The cat. What am I talking about? Tian Du Yuan Shuai will always have a faithful dog and a chicken at the foot of his statue, as you see in temples and stuff like that around the world. There is a Chinese saying, which I came upon when I was doing the research for this particular video. It says, 一人得道, 鸡犬升天. So what it means is that when the person gains his Dao, or Taoism, or inner enlightenment, his chicken and dogs rise up to the sky together. The meaning is once one man gets into a high position or government, or like him, he was a court musician for the emperor, all his cronies get in too. So I don't think it's a bad thing. Depending on how you depict it. So, it might just be that, it's someone who's not really nice, who gets up and, who he curry favors or, his way up to high position, then all the other little people following around him like crabs, get up in the same time. But when someone's really good and they raise up in a higher position, all his faithful followers will go too. So pay attention next time when you go to China or Singapore, especially in Fujian or Minnan, or Southeast Asia. Do look out for this particular deity. He looks like a normal person, really interesting. He bears the gold of a crab painted on his forehead or legs around his mouth.